Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chumps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV.
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Good afternoon, fellow Fox fans. Well, when I say good, in the greeting sense, not in the hasn't it been a good afternoon for the result? Far from it. But this is what you're doing.
You are watching
right?
Leicester Till I Die TV.
and it's live.
It is live. Unfortunately, I don't know, some of our players were live there this afternoon. Leicester City 1, Leeds 3. Home form let us down again. We did. Well, I've got two people to join me this afternoon on the post-match show. We've got our usual reincarnation of Jesus Christ, Brad. He'll be joining us in a minute. Where was he when we needed him? Let's be honest with you. But I've got a special guest this afternoon. For those of you of a certain age, like myself, you'll remember this guy flying down the wing, and that is a certain Mr. Stephen Lynex. So let's first of all say good evening and bring Steve, or good evening, good afternoon, and bring Steve in. Good afternoon, Steve.
Good afternoon, mate.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, good. Now, for those that are too young to remember, unfortunately, I do very well. But you'll be remembered for one of the main things you'll be remembered for, obviously, is the Shrewsbury FA Cup quarter-final game when you were the smallest man on the pitch and it went in goal. You were our third goalkeeper that day. But this is the other thing that I remember you for, and it did take some digging out, and I thank Craig, our other presenter, for helping me out on this, but some of you guys might just remember this. A bit of a wet one, that, wasn't it, Steve?
I got presented with my blue badge for doing that after the game.
It was called off not long after, was it?
Yeah, the funny thing was, though, as soon as it got called off, we went back on the pitch about 20 minutes later to do a bit of training. All the water had gone.
Just typical, isn't it? But I must admit, watching that always reminds me of this. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah, that'd be Youngie that would knock me into the water.
Probably, yeah. We all know what Youngie's like.
Yeah, fair play.
Anyway, guys, let us know your thoughts on the game. Try not to swear too much, but let's bring my other colleague in, Brad. Good afternoon, Brad.
Afternoon, guys. I've just got a quick question for Steve. Do you reckon you'd fancy coming out of retirement, mate, and going up front while Vardy's not there?
I'd
After
love
that
to,
today?
absolutely love to.
I
The
know,
mind would do,
that
but I don't
was-
think the body would.
Oh dear, that was just not right tonight. Just
You
not
like the money, I bet, Steve,
My
wouldn't
young
you?
son Sam, who's 20, he's faster than I was and more skillful, so I
Really?
wouldn't mind sending him over there. Yeah.
Oh,
Please
get on the
do.
phone to Brandon, Steve, please. Because I can't be doing with that up front anymore.
I'm gathering from that Brad wasn't very happy, so we'll let him calm down for a second. Steve, what were your thoughts overall on the game?
First 5 minutes looked promising,
Hmm.
and then I think because they scored so quick, it just totally deflated Leicester. I like watching Leeds because they're fresh, and I think they've always got 3 or 4 options when someone's on the ball. And I felt Leicester were too predictable, too slow, hitting standing people instead of people on the run. So the wife's doing the washing at the moment, and I think I was watching the tumbler dryer for the last 15 minutes because I thought there was more action going on in there than there was on the pitch.
I actually missed the equaliser, Brad. I was actually still typing up about the Leicester goal in the chat, and I missed the equaliser. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Hit us back straight away.
Yeah, and you know, at that point you're thinking it's annoying, and you know, even the best teams it happens to, you're most susceptible when you score to conceding the goal, and it's frustrating. And it was obviously something that you can imagine the players and the manager would have noted themselves they weren't happy with, because you know we had a very good record until tonight of going in front. We hadn't lost the game, and I know all good things come to an end, but it was very frustrating, and it was sloppy as well, because we when we took the lead, you thought, well, that's it, that's the balance of play. This is going to be another rematch of Allen Road where we beat them 4-1, because Leeds weren't in the game, and then all of a sudden, out of nothing, they got something. And to be fair, apart from a burst in the second half, we didn't really do much towards the Leeds after that. And this is why we're looking at the result and talking about a defeat and not another win.
Steve, they almost out-Leicestered Leicester, didn't they? Because they did what they do best, which is what we used to do best, and that's hit on the counter-attack.
Correct. Yeah, you look at when we won the title and a few of the games this season. When we are direct and go for it, that's when you're a force, and that's what the good thing about with Leeds today is when the guy on the ball got the ball, he had three or four forceful runners that he could pick out. So they weren't predictable, so you didn't know which one, was the danger man.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm probably going over what I just said, but Leicester, they were predictable. They were, they weren't doing the runs, so Leeds didn't really have to work to stop the attacks or anything like that.
I mean, Morley White there, who obviously is a Leeds fan, pleased with the win, would have taken a point all day long before the game. I mean, Brad, it was almost like Sky actually acknowledged the fact that we were finally the top 6, in a Big 6 club, when Sky said that Leeds hadn't beaten a Big 6 club all season. That was like the kiss of death for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, the typical commentators curse that, isn't it, when they come out and say that? And I've got to agree 100% with Steve there. The thing is, I think Leicester, when we talk about, you hear them talk about Vardy, and it's like, it's easy knowing about it. The hardest thing is stopping it. Well, today Leeds stopped us, because I don't remember, and I can't remember the last time I said this, but I don't remember hearing Harvey Barnes' name in that second half. After that goal, because like Steve said, we were predictable. They knew to shut out that left side, and I don't know. I mean, we'll get on to it. Obviously, at some point, you'll probably let the leash off and let me have a go at Perez. But maybe we need to put someone like him. He's most effective when he gets that ball and he runs at the defence, and he does it he cuts into the middle. Maybe that's a sign that if we're not going to get a striker in the next 48 hours or 30 hours or whatever's left of the window, which apparently is clearly not, then maybe we need to stick someone else on that left and let him do that job while Vardy's out for the next game or two.
A message for Ryan there, who is actually, in fairness, he's neither a Leeds nor Leicester fan, says, imagine losing to Leeds at home. All I'll say
Imagine being below West Ham in the league, Ryan.
Yeah.
Think about your league position first.
I was just going to say, imagine coming third in a 2-horse race.
Yeah.
He's a Spurs fan, Steve. We know him. He's a Spurs fan.
He's an acquaintance of mine. I can't call him a friend because he's a Spurs fan. He's an acquaintance of mine.
He hasn't got much to
Mark Chorner, great to see Steve Lynex, always fondly remembered, certainly is, and fondly missed after today. I mean, for the first 12 minutes, Steve, I thought we looked okay, and Leeds were definitely the better team. They had the best of the first half overall, especially as they're hitting us back straight away with the equaliser was a good thing for them. But at half time, I still couldn't see us losing that.
Yeah, you couldn't see us winning it, I don't think, either. Because, like you say, for the first 5 minutes, we done to Leeds what they were doing to us all throughout the game. We had 3 or 4 willful runners that, created problems. Yeah. But later on after the game, I didn't think Leeds had to work at all because the way Leicester was so they were wearing divers boots.
Yes.
To be honest, I'm the same thing about Perez. I wouldn't play him up front. I'd put Barnes up front and play Barnes because Barnes then can go left and he can go right and he can, at least he's got the skill or the mobility to go at people. Whereas Perez likes the ball being played to him. Today he was a bit lightweight, I thought. I think my daughter had knocked him over today because as soon as he got the ball, any slight touch, he was on the floor.
I must admit, you saying that, I actually said the same thing, though, I must admit, about Leeds. Every time we went for a tackle, Brad, they went down, and we were just giving away silly free kicks, and it was virtually from the first minute to the 90th minute.
Yeah, and, maybe it's taking a defeat to see it, but we've actually been doing that all season, giving away silly niggly fouls. I mean, Fofana and Justin being too impatient when Leeds were holding it in a corner. We're just too impatient and making silly fouls. Mendy and Ndidi and Tillemans, they're the 3 main culprits in the middle for giving away niggly fouls. Sometimes they're sensible fouls, when you take one for the team, and they're fine. But there were some areas on the pitch where I just found myself throwing my hands in the air and throwing my head back, going, "Why have you done that? You've just killed an attack." And it's frustration. And in other games we've got away with it because our performance on the day has been better. And today it just was not up to code. It wasn't up to scratch. And it's really frustrating because Leeds were there for the taking after, in them first 15 minutes. If we'd have held tight and not conceded so early, it might have been a different story. But unfortunately, you don't win games on your fans and books. You win them on what you do on the pitch. And we just lost it today. I mean, you look at goal. You look at the goal. That was Barnes getting into a centre forward position. That was Madison going, I know where he's going. I know where. Where would Vardy be? Where would a striker supposed to be? There. Oh, there he is. Barnes, thank you very much. Perez didn't get in there once today.
I mean, you made the point there, Steve, and it's a point that has been made by a few people about playing Barnes up front. I think sort of when it's been mentioned before, somebody said what we might gain from him being up front, we would lose by him not being where he was. But we've got the players that can replace where he is if we do put him up front, surely.
Well, I thought so today. I thought he was too quick of taking off the other winger today, Albrighton. I thought he should have left him on longer because the substitutions he made didn't really change anything the way Leicester played. So I'd have kept the wingers on longer and then gone through that route.
It is, and we made the change. I mean, we could have been 2-1 up. It was offside, clearly, Perez's strike. I did get quite excited. Changes at half time. Straight away, there was a sub. Oncho came on for Albrighton, went 3 at the back. And for a while, Steve, we seemed to take the game by the scruff of the neck. But again, and I know Brad hates me quoting stats, but we had 18 shots in the whole game, but we only had 8 on target. And that's surely sort of leading to our downfall.
Well, to me, that's the problem now with modern football. You keep coming up with all these stats and whatever, and you look at that. And then at the end of the day, you look at the result, you've lost 3-1. You could have 46 shots, you could have the ball for 88 minutes, but you still lose. So modern football, to me, I think they're going down different routes to try and make it sound exciting, because I'm an old-style player, I'm an old-style whatever. If you watch the top 6 play, they all play the same way. There's no variation, there's no nothing. If you watch Match of the Day, the first game that comes on, and then you watch the 4th game, it's virtually the same.
Yeah, it is. So we made the change, because then I thought we came back into the game a little bit then, Brad, but we just didn't kill it off, and they were the better team, weren't they? They deserved the 3 points today.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they could have come in at half time 2 or 3-1 up, and you wouldn't have argued with it, because as good as we looked when we had the ball at times and at half, we just did not do it enough. And you make that point about the top sides in that division, which, you know, we are there on merit, and you know, we're up there in the upper echelons for what we can do going forward and how quick we can do it. It is clear that our main problem is you find with Man City and Liverpool and any team that's like that around the world, they have a front 3. We have a front 2 and a bit. I don't understand what's Under got to do to get a start, because for me, I agree with Steve. Albrighton didn't do too much wrong, but I would go Barnes up front. I'd put Albrighton on the left, because obviously he's been on the left for us before. He was vital on the left for us throughout the seasons before. I would go Under on the right, and I'd tell Perez to go and see if Bayer Leverkusen want an extra winger to compete with Gray or something, because I just don't see his purpose in this team anymore. I've been saying it for a long time, and my patience has now officially gone with him. I mean, he's got to play you've got to have a fearsome 3 these days in the Premier League with the modern day football, and we have a fearsome 2 in Barnes and Vardy. Now we need to get that. We need to get it sorted whilst Vardy's not available, and we just don't have it.
I think it's the understanding. I think you've got it when Vardy's on the pitch, because Brighton's not going to take you on. He'll get the ball, he'll do one touch, and he'll whip the ball in. Now, Perez doesn't react to that. He only reacts when the balls come in. So really, you should be knowing, as soon as Albrighton gets the ball, he knows what he's going to do. He's going to take a touch, he's going to whip it in. I should be on the move. But what's been happening is that he watches him get it, he's standing there watching it, and then when he delivers the ball in, that's when he starts to make his run. And that's
and he still finds a way to be offside. He still finds a way to be offside when he does it right. It's like, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll come back to you, Steve, because Tony's asked this about your thoughts in Iheanacho, and I said this the other week, and I actually sat there today for the second game running thinking, should we bring Iheanacho on? And I know Brad's had that thought a couple of times, but is he the answer, Steve?
I don't think you can say, can he be the answer, because he doesn't get enough game time. I think you have to give a guy enough game time to get into a routine. You know, it could be twice the player he is if he had the time and he had the players around him.
Yes.
You know, there seems to be a lot of too much switching and swatching and, you know,
I mean,
you know, with Vardy.
You bring somebody on for 10 minutes. Yeah, you bring somebody on for 10 minutes. You might not even touch the ball in that 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Were you calling out for him today, Brad?
I was screaming out for him. I was with the commentators saying, it looks like Iheanacho should come on because Perez has stopped offering anything to Leicester. I mean, I don't know at what point he was offering anything to us in that game. And before people come out in the comments that may have been following this channel since it started, I'm not just slating Perez for the sake of it. I would never come out and say that about a player if I didn't think they weren't performing at a level for our club. At the end of the day, you just need to have that initiative, like Steve said, which we get from Barnes and you get from Maddison when they're clicking, and you get from Vardy, that they go, I know where this is going. I've got an idea where it's going. So if I get there, I'm going to get there. And you know what? I will say this, there was a few chances we had from players that you don't normally see scoring a hatful of goals, like Ricardo and Justin and Fafana up there. But at least they were in the positions when the ball came to them. And yeah, their experience in front of goal or not being a striker, I guess, and not having that ability naturally, they hesitated a bit at some chances and maybe didn't hit them as clean as someone like Vardy or any other striker or Barnes as a winger would. But they were more effective, and that says a lot about our striking options. If 3 weeks ago, Chris, me and you were thinking in the actual his career's done, now we're hoping he's an SOS and comes in and does a job for the next 2 or 3 games. What does that say? What does that say?
See, I think it goes down to the individuals that's playing. You've got Vardy. Everybody knows Vardy's strengths. They play to Vardy's strengths. With Perez, I don't think the players in the squad or the players in the team know what Perez's strengths are. So that's the problem. They don't know whether to give it him to feet. They don't know whether to knock it down the line because the guy, and I don't think I might have just, by coming on the show and saying this, but he just stands there flat-footed.
Yeah.
And, even the slowest defender is not worried because he knows the ball's in front of him. And Perez is not going to turn. He's not going to run at you. He's not a threat.
Should that not be down to Rodgers, though, and the training team and sorting that out on the training pitch?
I think it should be, yeah, bro.
Sorry, Steve. I didn't know that was that. Sorry, Steve.
You can't keep playing a player if he doesn't show anything different. Now, to me, the games he's played, he hasn't showed anything different. He's been the same on the pitch every time we've watched him play. He doesn't vary anything. He doesn't bring any change to his game. So he is predictable, and you would know. You wouldn't be worried by him if you saw his name on the team sheet.
No. So, Brad, we've got Fulham on Wednesday, and we all know what Fulham are capable of against us. This is. I can't believe I am saying this, and no disrespect to the guy. And I, when we signed him, as I always say, I love the fact that we signed him. But we've got to put an Nacho on, haven't we, and try something different.
Got to try anything different. Danny Ward up front, Morgan up front. Go back to the 90s, stick Soyuncu up front, do a Martin O'Neill. I don't care as long as it's not Perez. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not apologising for my reaction towards Perez in today's game because, like Steve said, he's not done it since day one here at the club. He's never kicked on. He's never done it in whatever position he's played in, no matter how much game time. If this doesn't justify them people that come out and say he doesn't play in his natural position, well, it doesn't matter where he plays. He's static. He falls over his own feet. He's sloppy. He doesn't anticipate things. He is not a standard player that you want in a side that is challenging for, let's face it, we're challenging for Champions League. Whether we're going to come out in the media and say it or not, which the club obviously aren't, going to play it hush and let it go under the radar and let the media do the work. But the club are pushing in the right direction, and I'm sorry, he's just not up to that calibre. Maybe he should go back to Newcastle because he might actually look half decent there because he's not got the calibre to push a side on. And like Steve said, it was practically like Leeds looked at that team and went, well, at least we've got a weakness in Perez because if he gets the ball, they don't even know what they're doing with him. I mean, there's a reason he sets up Barnes over Perez for the goal because he'd rather give it Barnes knowing where he's going and what he can do with it than going, well, if I give it Perez, he might stumble, he might fall over and lose the ball.
Right. Perez is a huge fan of... Brad is a huge fan of Perez, Steve.
Yeah.
Perez apparently is a huge fan of Brad, but, we'll be back just after this quick break.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe to us on YouTube.
I mean, Steve, what does it say about us as a team when we get a free kick just outside their box and they score from it?
That's another thing as well, I think. You've got Maddison taking everything, taking free kicks, taking corners. There's no variation, wherever. A couple of them that he took today, the lightweight balls nowadays, the lightweight boots, you should be hitting where you want it to go. And I think we felt short on quite a few today.
I mean, it's not Brad, is it? The Maddison that we've come to know that, I can remember, we all remember the 9-0, that free kick, top corner. He was doing that all the time. And we thought he was coming back slowly with a glimpse a couple of games this season, but it's not happening for him, is it?
No, it's not. And sometimes the longer it goes on, the worse things get for things. And at the end of the day, I said it a while back, I've said it on a few statuses and that, and I've made the point even further. Take the responsibility off him. If it's not set pieces, if you're telling me out there, the lads that train with the first team can't take a free kick and he's the best we've got, then fine, keep him on it. If that's the best we've got, I don't want to see what anyone else can do from that situation. But there's got to be someone, and I know there's someone better in that club that can deliver a ball in from a corner. Albrighton's a perfect example. His crosses, when he gets it, I mean, we've taken a few short corners as well this season. I'm sure him and others have been involved in it, where the ball's been laid off to him. They've whipped in 100 times better ball than Madison's from the dead ball. So why are we consistently piling the pressure on? He's marshalling the midfield as it is. Let him concentrate on that. And then maybe we'll see a free kick hit the back of the net, or at least make it over the wall. Because he needs to take he can't be a pack mule. Take the weight off his shoulders. And then maybe we'll see them get better and improve.
Steve, I know we've lost today. It was the first loss in 7. Leicester have come that far in the past few years that we do get wound up by a game like this. But was it just a bad day at the office?
I think Leeds had a good thing to do with it, the way they played and the way they closed it down. But that's all you're asking Leicester to do. I think, and I keep going back to Monday football, there's too many footballers dropping back into a line and just standing there thinking, all I've got to do is stand in the line. There's no pressure on the ball. You know, you have to be in people's faces. You have to make people make mistakes. You had Man City for years and years that nobody could play against them because they all dropped back into banks of 4s and 5s thinking this is fine. But then you find over the last year or so, when you get at them, get in the faces, press them higher up in the pitch. And I felt Leicester dropped off too far too early today, and let Leeds do what they wanted to do, and they couldn't cope with the 2 or 3 runners that were off the ball. And that's all you're asking Leicester to do, because when Leicester do that, they are so good when they do it. So today, there was no runners today.
Well, and I mean, like, Brad, you know, we'll go back to the Chelsea game. And I know I say this an awful lot, but it was almost like watching Brazil. And today it was almost like watching Costa Rica. It's amazing how a team, and I know, you know, we the top 6 let us play more of our own game, but you know, we've got to start getting a proper plan B, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. And look, I've seen a few comments flash up today, and there was one that's actually made quite a point I'd like to bring up or get onto as a point if you haven't got it in your notes, Chris. And you know, it wasn't just Perez that was at fault today for the result, but he's a main concern in the area that we rely on. Because when Leicester do exactly what Steve says, and they look good and they flow the ball forward and they press, they need that killer instinct, and Perez just isn't doing it. But there was other players today that let us down today. You know, the defending was, defending was a part to blame. I have a concern I raise about Johnny Evans when we come round to it. But it's just one of them. At the end of the day, we knew what Leeds were capable of. They've come up teams, you know, even when they lost 6-1 or 6-2 to United, was it they lost? They got battered off the pitch, but they still kept going. You wouldn't have known the scoreline looking at the way to do it. And we knew what we were expecting. And today, we were second to everything. And that's, you know, you can't have a 10, 15-minute spell when you're 2-1 down at home and expect to get the result, because you should be 2-1 up. And, you know, you should be seeing that game out like Leicester have done over the course of the season more times than not.
I said in the pre-match show, Steve, that Leeds very much remind me of Tottenham under Ozzy Ardiles, which was like, you know, we might let 2 in, but we'll score 3. We might let 3 in, but we'll score 4. And that's almost kind of Leeds' mentality at the moment. And as Brad's just said, they don't stop coming at you.
I think that's the excitement over the last couple of seasons, because if you look at Sheffield United last year, they're exactly the same. Nobody could handle them because they played to their strengths and their style of play. Wolves last year were the same. Now, I don't know what they're doing, if they're trying to change things and become and play like the top 6 and wherever. And then you can see the teams, that's why they're in the positions they are. And I think Leicester's got to say to themselves, we've got a style of play that we need to stick to and play. But we have to have the players in the squad that could come into the team and do exactly the same thing. At the moment, it's just one way. You're just relying on Vardy and the style of Vardy. When Vardy plays, Leicester's good. But then now you find out when Vardy's not playing, there's nobody in the squad that can, can change things or add anything or bring anything different, because you're still trying the same build-ups. And, today, I think they were looking for Perez, but you couldn't find him because he came too far back. And when he did do it, he lost it or he fell over. And I can't keep, slating the guy. I can only say what I saw today. Yeah. And today, I think he deserves every comment he got, because he can't hold his hands up and say, I tried. I can't hold my hands up and say, I was on my feet. I did some running, because it wasn't there today. You need hungry players. You need hungry players.
He certainly could, yeah, and he certainly needed Velcro on his shoes to try and get that ball to stick to them. 31 hours, Brad, we've got, possibly to get another striker in that would help us. I mean, we've left the back door open, have we not, Brad? I mean, looking at the table there, we could have gone second. Liverpool, slightly better goal difference than us. They win their game in hand, and we're down to fourth. West Ham are on a good run at the moment. Even Spurs, with a couple of games in hand, would be on the same points as us. We seem to make life just so difficult for ourselves.
Yeah, and I guess in a way, if you want to smile about it, we don't do things the easy way. It's always been a typical Leicester, probably even back in Steve's days from what I've seen of videos and stuff of years before my time. Leicester don't like to do it the easy way. They can't
just feel very old now.
Well, no, what it is you see, guys, I'm very young, so it's just you guys aren't old. I'm just a very youthful person, and you guys were just before my time. Remember, I just said just. So, but yeah, the point is, obviously, Leicester. Yeah, I will. I'll get the JCB out and keep digging at this rate. But and it's one of them. And look, they've got to play each other. They've got to be in the mix. Nothing, the media will probably, finally say, "Well, we don't have to at least once every 100 seconds mention Leicester are in a title race because they're going to fall apart now." Sheffield United beat Manchester United. Manchester United only just beat Sheffield United. They've got to play each other, and I know we've got to play them at some point. But it's been teams are going to drop points at some points in this season along the way, and they're going to keep dropping points. And it's disappointing when you lose a game like this, but let's not forget the work that we've done up until this point. We got a very good point against Everton. We hadn't lost in 8 games in the league, and we are still third in the league until we know the Liverpool West Ham result, and that could still go in our favour. We could still be third come the end of this. So we're getting our stress out. We're throwing our toys out the pram, as the saying is. I won't say stroller, but it is what it is. It's all about the reaction now. That's all we can do. We can do here and let people let off steam about a very poor and abject performance, which it was. And it's not just from one person who we talked about a lot in particular. There's a few players that deserve a bit of a rollicking today for it. But we've got to go again. We've got to do something, and hopefully, whatever the plan is, we get someone in that transfer window in the next 30-odd hours that's going to offer us something there. Because if the plan's not to play Iniacho or Barnes there, he's got to be bringing in someone with the intent to do that role. Because if not, like a few people have said, that could be our stumbling block. And that could be the difference between why we're not quite yet ready to be saying we're in with the big boys in regards to a top 4 side. I definitely think we're a top 6 side, but not a top 4 side if we don't fix them problems.
I think to be honest, everybody's going about you need strikers. I think you need somebody nasty. I think you need a nasty player on the pitch, like Martin Henderson. Liverpool, not everybody's cup of tea, but the desire's there. You can see him rollicking and you can see him shouting people. I'm probably got his name wrong, but you can see him, motivating players. Nobody on the pitch today that I saw from the Leicester side was trying to shout or motivate any other player. They were just accepting every decision, every ball that went wrong, everything. Just there was no leader on the pitch today. That's my view.
This has meant, and it's a view that's been mentioned a few times. You've got the person with the most passion, the captain, is Schmeichel, who's stuck in the goal, and he can't necessarily get his message all over. We haven't got a Wes Morgan at the moment. It will be interesting to see. I remember this time last year, Steve, we were bemoaning the fact that we didn't bring anybody in, and we just bought one defender that couldn't even get into the Wolves first team, and that possibly cost the Champions League. I dread that could happen this year. Although having said that, I believe we're in a better position. I'm still hoping for Eduardo, because he does play a little bit like Vardy, and Brendan knows him from Celtic, of course.
Yeah, but there again, are you bringing in the same kind of player that's going to be reliant on that one player? I think, to be honest, it's systems and attitudes I think you need to work on more than signings at the moment. Because if you haven't got that firing on the pitch, no matter who you bring in, you'll still have the same laboured movements. You'll still have the laboured acceptance, if that's a phrase. Yes. So I think it's more motivation now that you want it more, because at the moment the only thing that's making it hard or a good season is that everybody on the top six they're all being beaten. They're all beating each other. There's no runaway teams, but you only need one or two teams to come to form now. With that bit of aggression, they'll run away with the league.
I mean, Brad, very, very good point that Steve made there. We've bemoaned some of the performances we've had. Man United had some really bad performances at the start, came good, went on a good run, lost to Sheffield United. Liverpool lost the other day, forget who it was to now, but anybody can beat anybody in there. And I know West Ham are holding Liverpool 0-0 and doing us a favour at the moment, but it is going to be one of those, just who knows what's going to happen this season.
Yeah, and I think from a neutral, that's a new word, a neutral's point of view, if you're looking at that league table and you're not supporting one of them teams that are in and around the top six places, you're looking at it and going, well, you take one thing out of this, and maybe even from a Leicester's fan point of view, you can see it. At least it's good enough to see the Premiership back to its competitive best, because the last few seasons have kind of ghosted by for a title race. It's literally been Man City or Liverpool, and either one of them and in part has ripped the league apart. So it's not really been that competitive towards it. And it from, like I said, from a neutral perspective, it's definitely good to see that the league's so competitive. And like I said, Liverpool have already dropped points, and they'll drop points more through the season as it goes on, and Man United will, and I actually think Man City will. They'll hiccup. They'll drop points, and it's all about what you do when teams do that. And unfortunately, today we didn't take advantage of it. But it is what it is, and you go forward as it is. To go to the point that you and Steve have made about the captain, just quickly, I think maybe Leicester City. I always come on as an ex-keeper, and I know, obviously Stevie's had, he's an ex-keeper these days with his one appearance in goal for us. Casper, does see the play on a level and on an eye line that other people do. And some of the greatest captains have been goalkeepers, Casillas and Buffon are two just straight off the bat I can think of. But I think you need a secret captain. And by that, I mean, maybe at certain points in exchanges of play, Casper keeps that quiet and lets Maddison command it or Tillemans command it. At certain stages of play, I think you need a different style of leader. And maybe we have a secret captain in a sense that when we're going forward, that's the voice they're listening to.
I think, to be honest, I'll go back to the days when I played, and I don't think if I'm wrong in saying this, but if we came off the pitch half-time and we were all quiet and doing whatever, you'd get a slap round the ear off Jock Wallace. Yeah. You'd get a slap round the ear off Alan Young. Any guy would come round and say, oi, whack you around the back of the head, get your finger out, come on. And I think in society, the way things are going and the snowflakes around and you can't say this, you can't do this, I think that needs to change on a pitch. I think you have to be, you look at your Graham Souness's and things like that, and your Roy Keanes, they're players that you need now. I know you can't tackle anymore to like you used to, but if you saw that verbal aggression, if you saw that verbal or you saw that determined run, you think, okay, we got beat by the better team today. But Leeds weren't that much more better than Leicester. It's just that the way they commanded the game, running off the ball, and they were more determined. You could see the determination in the runs and the shouts. Whereas if your camera went on to a Leicester player, he was counting the blades of grass on the floor. He was looking down at his feet.
I think the point I made just before, you may have missed it, but somebody I hadn't thought of as a possible captain, but Jamie Vardy. Would you say yes or no, Steve?
Jamie Vardy, he's came through the lower leagues. He's got the passion, and that's what you need. Yeah. You want players with a passion, and I'm against slagging off modern footballer, but is there too many foreign players? Is there too many foreign players that play to a certain style, they do whatever? That's when we were good. When you had the majority of homemade players, where local derbies were local derbies, and you had the aggression, you had whoever. I think that's where the game's starting to move away from in modern days, but I still feel you need a bit of that injected, because it's a bad game for Leicester today. They're not going to be. They're never mentioned in the top six, which is good. It keeps the pressure away, and I'm not too worried so much at the moment because you're still in with the pack and still doing it. It's towards the end of the season when, if the situation is tight and you're still 3 or 4 games, that's when you need to say, right, bang, everybody has to be at it. But at the moment, there's more players not at it than there is at it.
Steve, we always do at this time, and Brad will know what's coming here. And I'm letting him off 2 weeks with the stats post. But I have a gentleman called Alan who always rates the team's performance for me, rates the managers, and picks the man of the match. And in fairness to him, Brad will know this. I only give him literally the final whistle goes, and he sends it me within 2 minutes. So he doesn't have a lot of time to go away, think about it, try and be fair. It is his initial thoughts. But Brad, first of all, come to you. Alan, this week, he's gone for Schmeichel as man of the match, which, to be honest with you, he made some excellent saves today. 4 for the manager, 5 for the team. Has he got it right this week?
I think like you say, because Alan does this directly from pretty much the full-time whistle, I think off a nerve and a knee-jerk reaction to the result and the way it's panned out, I can't argue with his ratings, and I think Schmeichel's hands down man of the match. The one thing I would say is, I'm probably going to get shot down in flames for this, and I'm probably going to get called all the names under the sun for this, but I actually don't think Brendan did much wrong. There was a comment that came in earlier that I managed to quickly proofread, that someone said when he changed it to that 5 at the back when we're defending, and it became a 5 in midfield when we were going forward. If that was Vardy up front, we've seen it before, and it was during that spell when we had 5. We played 3 at the back with wing backs, where we did control the game, trying to get that equaliser. Had there been Vardy on the pitch, it probably might have just worked. And I don't think Brendan was got as much wrong as people may have think, just because we lost 3-1. Because, like I think it was Steve that said, Leeds actually weren't much better than us, but they just had that extra oomph about them, and that's why they've got the result that they've got today. They weren't in a different class. It wasn't like they outplayed us for 90 minutes, because we did have spells in that game where we were in control of it. I just think they got the edge on us on a lot more things and looked a lot more impressive. But I don't think the manager's rating, I think that's a little bit harsh, but I don't think I'd go any higher than a 6 for anything today, because I do think the team was let the manager down with some of the performances on the pitch.
I do agree with you, because and the Sky Guy did as well. When we made that change at half time with Soyuncu coming on for Brighton, the change of formation, that was probably our strongest period up until then getting the second goal. Just to finish on, Steve, do you agree Schmeichel man of the match?
I do. This game, the games, the saves he made. But going back to what you just said there, the changes were made more defensively than forward. If if that makes sense. And I felt that's where you needed the opposite way round. You needed to be more attacking wise. And like for the first 5 minutes, Leicester had got that. But when Leeds hit them and scored, and then Leeds were breaking, Leicester couldn't handle it. Now it's usually the other way around, Leicester doing that. And today, unfortunately, that didn't happen. For some reason, Leicester didn't do what Leeds did.
Would you say, Steve, it's a case of, and I've used this in past seasons as well, but would the real Leicester turn up? So would the real Leicester put their hands up, I should say, is the same, because you don't know 1 week to the next what you're going to get.
That, again, I feel goes to what they did work on in the week. I think a lot of managers now, they try and change formation to try and change patterns of play that suit the opposition they're playing on the day. And I think sometimes that shoots you in the foot because you take away what you're doing, what you're good at.
Yeah.
And I think if Leicester stay and keep doing what they're good at, like when they won the Premier League before, like Sheffield last year, like Leeds are doing now, Leeds have got they're not scared. They don't change anything. They just keep doing what they're doing. And I think that's the frame of mind that Leicester need to go in now. Let's play how Leicester play. Don't worry about anybody else. Let them worry about us. And I feel that's happening a lot, not just at Leicester, but every club so far that changes formations and changing things to suit the opposition they're playing. That's where they shoot themselves in the foot a lot.
Yeah. Steve, I'm going to let you go because I appreciate you've been on here a while. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on. We always love having an ex-player on because it shows that we have absolutely no idea what we're talking about.
Sometimes I don't, to be honest, as well.
Hey, a lot more than...
My son keeps digging me saying, "Oh, you played in the olden days. This is the modern game." But
you need to remind him you played in the proper days when...
Football.
Floors were made of leather and you had flippers on your feet at some games, didn't you?
That's right, yeah. I'm not playing on these carpets and that now, and hairstyles that never move in the rain, the snow, the wind, whatever. It's an old boy talking all day football.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for coming on, Steve. You're welcome back anytime you want to. Just give me a message. It'd be great to have you on. And
yeah, come on, Steve. It's good having you on.
Thank you.
You got the score right last week, Steve. You didn't get the score right this week.
I know that was my first one last week. I was well chuffed with that. But, I thought I'd get it right this week, but no chance.
Thing is, if you look at it going back, I don't think any of us has got more than one right. So don't worry. Steve, you take care of yourself, stay safe, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Coming.
See you, Steve.
Bye.
Cheers, mate. So a big thank you to Steve there. What a lovely guy and lovely for coming on. So, Brad, it's transfer day on Monday. We're going to do any activity?
Well, it doesn't sound like it, does it? I mean, I know managers these days, to coin a phrase of someone that's just left the room, but in the modern day football, managers don't tend to give away too much. I mean, we heard talks that he'd like to bring in someone for Pratt being injured. I think maybe you did miss him today because you just needed to be able to switch that urgency up. And I think if you'd have took Perez off for someone of Dennis Pratt's ability and capability and what they can do on the pitch, you might have got a different result. I just think maybe the striker situation is, we know what the January transfer window can do to prices. It's more inflated than a Brexit transfer. So, I just don't see us bringing in a striker of caliber, because you're also remembering you're not bringing him in for 6 months, are you? If you're bringing in a striker, you're also bringing him in with the intent that maybe next season Vardy's not going to play as much. He's going to play less and less as time goes on, and that's just natural of any footballer. The older they get, the less time they get, and then sometimes you get a case like Thierry Henry's, and I'm not putting them on the same wavelength, but I'm just saying players like Thierry Henry's and and Jamie Vardy's that can play well into their 30s, and there's other players I could think of, for example, but I just named that one because the first one popped into my head. that can go an extra couple of years past what you'd probably say is their expiration date for playing 90 minutes week in, week out. You're looking at a first team option, and the players we've been linked with, apart from Eduardo, who Celtic might as well just pack the season in now, let's face it, they're that far behind Rangers, they're going back to the 90s, they're that far behind. Is there anyone that's going to leave the club they're at with what they're doing and come on and step in and do a job for 3 or 4 games a season, 20, 15 minute sub appearances, and then hopefully take over in that player's head? He'd be expecting or hoping to get the time on the pitch. I don't think so. Can you attract that in the summer? Certainly. If we get Champions League.
Just to bring this in, sorry, Brad, just to interrupt you.
I appreciate that.
Rogers, Josh Rogers has said he's confident we are buying an attacking midfielder. He's just said to Ian. I presume that's the and Lee, is that? Lee, Brendan has said post-match we're close to a signing.
I think it's needed.
Perez is past his breast and Eduardo isn't good enough. No, we will see. We will see. We've got like 30 odd hours now to decide. We're back Monday, aren't we, Brad? We're back Monday.
Yes, we are. We will not be having sex toys in the cameras being shoved in our faces when we announce an 11 o'clock signing or anything like that.
You speak for yourself, mate. I've got.
Well, you might, mate. You might have one thrown at you, but I'm not speaking that. But yeah, we will be doing our own transfer show from 9 o'clock. Is it, Chris?
Well, I think we're looking at about 8:45 now because we're having to fit a few people in. But if that's okay with yourself, there was actually a thing just recently, totally sidetracking off football altogether. I think it was a BBC, and they were interviewing somebody. She had a bookshelf behind, as people tend to on these Zoom chats and what have you. And actually, on about the second shelf down, she'd left a dildo on there, which was on full show. So, hey, let's not make any promises. I don't think. Can Amazon get me one by tomorrow? We will see. We will see. Brad, thanks very much, mate.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And again, I know hopefully he's just still sat there watching in the background. Thanks to Steve for coming on. It was great to have such an insight, with ex-players come on. It's great.
For him to come on, yeah. I'm going to be back at 6:30 with the Opposition View show. It's going to be a busy night on Monday. So 6:30 we've got the Opposition View, and then 8:45 the two Ronnies here, me and Brad. It's like
just an announcement. Can't tell you, but something drastic will be happening. Will be happening after. Do you remember a statement I made? Well, now it's happened. The Messiah must have the second coming, I'm afraid.
We will see, because at the moment I do feel a bit like that TV show, like, the devil and Jesus.
Yeah. Well, you will definitely see a fresh face during the last hours of transfer window. I'm hoping I'm not the only fresh shaven face. I hope that's not the only thing we see or any activity we hear through the window. But yeah,
we're going live at 8:45. At 9:15 at the moment, this is the list. We're going to be joined by Matthew Mann. He co-wrote Barry Pierpoint's book with him, and he knows an awful lot about Leicester. So we'll be talking for him briefly about good and bad signings in the past. Julian Watts, ex-player, will be joining us at 9:30 to tell us from a player's point of view what it's like on transfer deadline days. And at 9:45, we're going to be joined by Owen Palmer-Tompkinson, who works for BBC Radio Leicester. And he will be telling us what it's like from the media side on transfer deadline day and how the media react to it. 10 o'clock, we've got Paul Reed, another ex-player, coming on and telling us about being transferred. And at 10:15, Barry Pierpoint himself, again, the chief executive, who, love him or hate him, you cannot argue with the success and the money he brought into the club, as well as obviously the Carling stand, for those of us that are old enough to remember it, which includes you, Brad.
Yeah. Who said that?
Right, mate. Okay, I'm going to let you go off and order your blades.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes, and I'd like to say it will probably be a closer shave than it was today. We're lost. Never mind. Brad, thanks so much, mate. I'll see you Monday night.
Yeah, see you guys Monday night.
Cheers. So thanks a lot to Brad, as always, very, very knowledgeable, and he pays me to say that every time. We're back straight after this.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Yeah, remember you can pick us up on that if you want to listen to the show again rather than watch us, and I really don't blame you if you do. So like I say, 6:30 on Monday, we're fitting in the Opposition View show. Emilio from Fulham, I'm sure he'll be sort of extremely happy after what happened the last time we played. We'll be having a chat with him about that. We will be back then at 9:15, me and Brad and all the guests popping on for a quick 10 minutes here and there. And we'd love you to come on as well. You can come on at any time. Just send us a message saying in the chat saying, please, can I come on? We can send you the link and you can join us and let us know how you think Leicester's transfer window is going. It's going to be a long day for me tomorrow because I've got to be up at 9 to see if we do start signing anybody, because knowing me, I'll probably still be in bed and it'll all happen. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Bad day at the office today. We're still in third. Let's be honest with you. Things ain't all that bad. It could be worse. One loss. We're going to be back next week. We're going to get 6 points off Fulham and Wolves. Hope you're well. Stay safe. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all your comments. It wouldn't be worth doing without you. Take care, and we'll see you, like I say, tomorrow at 6:30 with Emilio, the Fulham fan.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.